Whoa, you guys really liked that last video. If this is your first encounter with my channel, I recommend pausing and watching that before you come back and finish this one, since it provides a lot of context for what I'm about to show you all. Or don't, whatever floats your boat. You all saw the thumbnail, so there's no point in being coy about this. Not only did I make a bunch of art, but I've also included some vocal performances to help bring these scenes to life. No hot takes, no memes, just entertainment. Enjoy the show, everyone. Let's start with the basic crux of this video. Goku marries Bulma instead of Chi-Chi at the end of Dragon Ball, and this minor change has a butterfly effect that, for now, doesn't really alter too much, but we'll get into that later. There's little to no divergence in this timeline until the end of the original Dragon Ball. Bulma's initial interest in Goku was founded when she saw him grown up at the end of the story. In the years leading up to the 23rd tournament, Goku has this massive growth spurt, and when Bulma sees him again, she's completely floored by how much Goku has changed, physically at least. He's still the same person she met on the mountain. The first major change, of course, comes when Goku fights Chi-Chi at the 23rd tournament. I think it would go something like this.
What do you mean you don't recognize me? You promised you would marry me when we got older.
And this is where Bulma's intrusive thoughts take over, because she wants a chance with Goku before Chi-Chi runs off with him.
You can't marry him. He's my boyfriend. Who is that, Goku? Is she your girlfriend?
Now that I think about it... I guess so. Bulma kind of is my girlfriend. Actually, she's my first girlfriend.
Goku would interpret this literally and explain it that way. He wouldn't understand what he's saying, and Chi-Chi would take it at face value, and obviously a few hands would get thrown as a result of the misunderstanding. However, Chi-Chi would still get thrown out of the ring. As for Bulma's outburst, she probably knew how Goku would react, so she said the first thing that came to mind in order to keep her shot with Goku alive. However, because she did this and now Chi-Chi is mad and thinks that she's dating Goku, Bulma's kind of got to stand on business and commit to the lie, essentially. So, here's how it plays out afterward.
Hey, Bulma? Why is everyone looking at us like that?
It's about what I said earlier, about you being my boyfriend. I guess they want to give us some space or something.
Really? Why is that?
Well, there's a difference between a friend and a boyfriend. It's more special.
So how's it different, Bulma?
Boyfriends and girlfriends are like what you are with people you're thinking about marrying someday.
What? Bulma! Do you want to marry me too?
I mean, if we get along well, maybe. But you've always been there for me when it counted most, and now you're so handsome. I mean, why not give it a try?
Well, you've taught me so much over the years, and you're my best friend. I wouldn't mind being your boyfriend for a while, to see if we should get married.
And there you have it. This is where the divergences start to happen. In the years following, we get a short stint of Chi-Chi trying to steal Goku out from under Bulma, and it'll be a fun little calm before the storm sort of deal, and it leaves some space for character development for everyone, Chi-Chi especially. However, for the sake of the scenario, Bulma wins this competition for Goku's commitment, and Chi-Chi bows out to preserve her dignity, but obviously she'd still carry lingering feelings for Goku for a little while. In that year or so of fighting over Goku with Bulma, Chi-Chi would have become friends with Krillin, Launch, Yamcha, Oolong Par, Chaozu, maybe even Tien as a result of being part of the crew. So because of this, she doesn't just disappear from the story when she can't marry Goku. She's part of the gang now, and while she has a bit of a rivalry with Bulma, she'd be compelled to stay by Krillin, Yamcha, and Par and like the gang because they're her friends now. Either way, Bulma wins this competition and finally sinks her claws into Goku for good. Which more or less puts us a few years before the start of Dragon Ball Z. This is how we get Gohan. Some of you thought we wouldn't have him, but Bulma would totally let Goku name their first kid Gohan.
Bulma, everyone brought you such thoughtful gifts. Why do you tell me not to bring you anything?
Hey, Goku. Come find me after the party dies down. Okay?
All right then, Bulma. If that's what you want for your present, I'll be sure to do that. All right, the party's died down, Bulma. So why do you ask me to come to your room naked?
Well, Goku, it's time for you to give me my birthday present. I'm gonna teach you what boyfriends and girlfriends do that's different from normal friends.
Now it's starting to get fun!
Oh my goodness, Goku.
Hey, Bulma, I just caught dinner. Want to stay for a while?
Sure. I just wanted to talk to you about something.
Sure. What's on your mind?
Well, Goku, remember all of the naked stuff we did on my birthday?
How could I forget? It felt really good. Do you want to do some more?
Of course. But that's not the only reason I came here. You see, Goku, I'm gonna have a baby. And if you want to stay with me, you'll be a father soon and we can have a family? How do you feel about that?
That's so exciting! I've always wanted a family, just like I had with Grandpa Gohan. I guess this is our next big adventure together, huh?
I don't even know what I was worried about. Of course Goku would.
And that, my friends, is the very, very abbreviated version of how Goku and Bulma happened. Now it's time for the main event. This is Dragon Ball Zeta. And it's a timeline where Toriyama listened to his editors more often and knew how to write character drama. So the thing about Goku marrying Bulma instead of Chi-Chi is that it has a butterfly effect. So the changes don't start stacking up until probably the Cell Saga, but I will still cover what happens in the Saiyan and Namek Sagas just for the sake of the video. So when Raditz arrives on Earth, it goes very much the same as it did in canon. Gohan and Bulma still end up at Kame House to visit Master Roshi and Krillin, and Raditz crashes the party and kidnaps Gohan, forcing Piccolo and Goku to work together to save him. It ends much the same way with Goku getting killed to take down Raditz. Now, the only real difference here is that Gohan would be a little bit stronger than he is in canon, since Goku would be teaching him some of the basics of martial arts, and would of course also be teaching him how to use the Nimbus Cloud and whatnot. Also, due to Bulma's influence, Gohan's personality would have a little bit more of a hard edge to it because of just that's who Bulma is. So I decided to capture that in the art you see in the background. Now, after Raditz is defeated, Piccolo would see how strong Gohan is and view that as an opportunity to kidnap him, just as he did in canon. But you know, this time Bulma was there to see that, and she would make it a point to try and help Gohan in some kind of way because, you know, she can't physically go fight Piccolo. So what does she do? She uses drones from Capsule Corp to drop care packages to Gohan and help him survive with Piccolo. And there's like a funny dynamic with Piccolo blowing up the drones. Some of them get through, some don't. Overall, Gohan and Piccolo's relationship would be mostly the same. It's just it'd be a lot more entertaining because of how they butt heads. And there's also the fact that Piccolo would kind of halfway respect Gohan because of how much of a little brat he is and how tough the kid is. Because he would be much tougher if Bulma was his mom.
I told you to hunt your food when you get hungry. No more care packages from Mommy. Got it?
But that one had extra snacks in it. Can I at least keep the survival manuals?
Your mother's a persistent one. Fine. If you're going to survive, these will get you along faster. Ask your mother for more informational materials next time. But no food. You hunt or starve. Got it?
Why are you so mean all the time, Mr. Piccolo?
So obviously Piccolo would confiscate some of the stuff that gets sent from time to time, but he'd probably let Gohan keep the educational material that Bulma keeps airdropping since it's useful information that would get Gohan up to speed faster. he'd actually be stronger due to his more assertive personality and upbringing as Bulma's son. As a result of that, he may graduate from just surviving out in the wilderness to straight up sparring with Piccolo at a much quicker speed, because remember, this version of Gohan has been trained by Goku, basically from the minute he could walk. I know I'm glossing over a lot of stuff, but again, the Saiyan Saga is generally untouched with the one exception of Chi-Chi being part of the Z-Fighters taking on Vegeta, Nappa, and the Cybermen. Eventually, the other Saiyans arrive, Nappa's defeated, and so is Vegeta, while Yamcha, Tien, Chaozu, and Piccolo are killed in battle, save for Krillin, Chi-Chi, and Gohan. And they naturally want to revive everyone who died fighting the Saiyans. Now, Bulma would be against letting Gohan go to Namek at first, but obviously Goku would encourage this because Gohan is taking responsibility and he's kind of stepping into those shoes as a hero, and Bulma would see that in Gohan as she saw it in Goku, so she would go with Gohan just to make sure he's okay. Which brings us all to the Namek Saga. So here's where the butterfly effect starts to kick in. Chi-Chi goes to Namek with the gang because now she's a part of the group and she'd want to put in some work to revive her fallen friend. And there's also the pragmatic issue with the Dragon Balls being inert without Piccolo being alive. Chi-Chi in turn has her potential unlocked by Guru and gets a massive power boost, meaning she's about the same strength as Krillin, if not stronger. I say that because keep in mind how Chi-Chi's baseline power is so high, yet she's only had the most basic of training from her dad. So if she went to train with Roshi between Dragon Ball and Z, she'd at least be as strong as Krillin, probably a little stronger, and approaching that of Tien when the Saiyans showed up. Having an extra fighter around Krillin's strength on Namek won't turn the tide of battles, but it does give the squad slightly more flexibility in their battle against the Frieza Force. I know a lot of you wanted me to put Chi-Chi and Vegeta together because they share that kind of motif, but the problem with that is Vegeta would definitely be interested in Chi-Chi, but Chi-Chi would hate his guts. She would only tolerate him due to how bad the situation on Namek got. Keep in mind that at this point she may still be carrying a torch for Goku and would also have protective instincts toward Gohan. And given that what Vegeta did to both of them, well, that ship ain't sailing anytime soon. On top of that, Vegeta is responsible for killing half of her friends on Earth and nearly killing her as well, so given her temperament, she wouldn't let that slide super easily. And if Vegeta spoke to her about anything other than the battles ahead, she'd probably shut him down.
Now you've the look of a true warrior. Much better than those rags you wore on Earth.
Save it! You and your lackey killed nearly all of my friends on Earth. You're a horrible, horrible man!
I know a lot of y'all wanted this to happen, but as much as I tried writing-wise, I couldn't make it work. Chi-Chi's taste in men doesn't really fit with Vegeta. She may think he's physically attractive as seen later in Dragon Ball Z, but temperament-wise, it just wouldn't work. Instead, what I want to point out on this trip to Namek is that Chi-Chi would start growing closer to Krillin because they're surviving all these crazy life-threatening situations and they're already close friends from training with each other all those years after Goku married Bulma. On top of that, since Krillin is her only remaining friend from the battle with the Saiyans, she'd feel the need to protect him just as he'd feel the need to protect her. Basically, the B-plot of the Namek Saga in this timeline is about the development of Krillin and Chi-Chi's relationship. Some people found it controversial that I put them together, but I ask you again to just think about it. Of all the things that Chi-Chi wants out of life, Krillin is the most likely to give her that. He understands getting a job and settling down to start a family because he was a human that was raised as a human. And with regard to Goku and Bulma, it would create a very interesting character moment for Goku because now his trip to Namek is much more personal since he's going to Namek to save not just his son but also his wife. His whole family is in danger, so he's going to be a lot more to the point and ruthless in how he fights on Namek to try and find them and get them both safe. It'd be one of those rare opportunities where you get to see Goku actually legitimately stressed out about something, and it's a surprise to me that Toriyama didn't write that into how Goku is portrayed on Namek. After Goku gets to Namek, the rest is history. Goku becomes a Super Saiyan and everyone is safely transported back to Earth, and we get the interim between Frieza and the androids. Krillin is wished back to life, and well...
Hey, I'm back! Chi-Chi?
Krillin! For a while, I really didn't think we'd ever get you back.
Here's something that I have, been meaning to tell you.
Krillin? Are you gonna say something? What is it?
Chi-Chi, do you want to go on a date sometime?
Why did it take you so long to ask?
Well, right before I died, I thought about you and how I wouldn't be able to see you again. And now that I'm alive to think about it, that says a lot about how I actually feel.
Well, I would very much like that.
So that would more or less close the book on Chi-Chi and Krillin's character arc. And, come the androids and Cell, they'd more or less be retired from fighting because, sadly, the humans are kind of irrelevant after Namek. And I mean, they were pushing it even during Namek, so it is what it is. I want to let them go out on top on a high note instead of having them stick around and get beat up all through Cell. But hey, props to Chi-Chi for being the strongest human alive for a little bit there. Now here's where things start to really go off the rails. So, first things first, let's contextualize the future Trunks story. While the events of it are more or less the same, it's much more emotionally charged this time around. Gohan and Trunks are brothers, and Trunks would have grown up on stories of his father from both Gohan and Bulma, even more so than he does in the original canon because Bulma also has all this history with Goku, who is now her husband in this timeline, obviously. He'd even see footage of Goku fighting Jackie Chun, Tien, and even some of him fighting Piccolo from the original Dragon Ball. As a character, Trunks would still be very much no-nonsense and pragmatic and willing to do whatever it took to win, but he'd also pick up some of Goku's traits instead of Vegeta's, so he'd be a lot more compassionate and adventurous. Which means that part of his desire to return to the past is to meet his father and explore what time travel is like and what it means. On top of that, an additional reason for traveling back to the past is deeply personal. Trunks and Bulma are trying to save their family. Because keep in mind that in this timeline, Bulma and Gohan still went to Namek, and they survived all of that just for Gohan to die in his early 20s or something. It would give Bulma a lot of great character moments as she wrestles with the risk of sending her only remaining son back in time to save everybody. On the whole, it makes the story just way more dramatic.
Gohan, Trunks, how did you...
They're out there killing more people as we speak. Let me go. I have to try, Mom.
You're going to die if you go out there right now. No way. It's out of the question.
He was my brother, and they killed him.
And he was my son. I can't lose another to this. You're all I have left, Trunks. You're all that's left of Goku. Please.
No, I have to try.
Trunks, wait!
These are the kind of character drama moments that I think Dragon Ball was missing, because I personally think that the characters in Dragon Ball are a little bit too simplistic and straightforward. There's not many layers in comparison to shows like Full Metal Alchemist, for example. That aside, Trunks would barely survive his attempt to defeat the androids with his newfound Super Saiyan transformation, and he'd be forced to help Bulma build the time machine however he could. This of course leads to the beginning of the android and Cell conflict, so the time machine is completed and Trunks travels back in time to save his father, his brother, his family, and the world. However, now that Trunks is Goku's son, it changes the context and tone of their meeting. Trunks is meeting his father for the first time, someone both Gohan and his mother spoke so highly of. Trunks would test him just as he does in canon, but this time, Goku may notice something off about this Super Saiyan from the future.
Wait a minute. So you're a Super Saiyan from the future, you look like Bulma, and you look a little bit like Gohan too. So who are you again?
Just make sure you take this medicine, alright?
And just in case, what date were you born exactly?
Well, Goku, that's, not important. Make sure you're ready for the androids.
Goku's not the smartest guy around, but when a dude from the future shows up and he looks kind of like your wife, and he also kind of looks like your son, but you only have one son and that's not him, it's not that complicated to put two and two together. While I would normally have a more heartfelt meeting, what Trunks is doing here is he's trying not to screw with the events of his birth too much. He's already messing with time travel. The last thing he needs to do is accidentally prevent his own birth from happening. Later down the line, when he does come back, Goku would take him under his wing just as he did with Gohan. And also, Trunks would get to mentor his older brother Gohan with the very things future Gohan taught him, so it has this really cool circular motif. But I digress. Basically, now Goku has to go out of his way to make sure that Trunks is born, so it's a little fun dynamic there.
Hey, Bulma, can we do some more naked stuff today?
You've been insatiable lately, Goku. Not that I don't like it, but
But it's really important to me that we do lots of naked stuff this week. I need to make sure Trunks... I just really missed you while I was in space.
well, I mean, I really like your new muscles. Okay, but this is the last time this week, Goku. I'll never finish the gravity room if you're on top of me 24/7.
Okay, Bulma, hold on tight. I'm going all out this time.
Goku, do you really need to be Super Saiyan for this?
Now with Bulma at Capsule Corp doting on Goku and monitoring his heart condition, she's not isolated while the others train, meaning that she doesn't give Vegeta anything other than a space at Capsule Corp to sleep, and occasionally, builds them training equipment to prep for the androids, with the gravity room being in development at this point in time. This is a very unique position for Vegeta as a character because he'd still be going through the same thing that he does in canon, except this time he doesn't have Bulma there to help him work out his sexual and emotional frustration. So while he still achieves Super Saiyan at more or less the same time, he's a lot more isolated, frustrated, and kind of pent up. So when Goku is incapacitated by the heart virus and Android 19 is destroyed, Dr. Zero wakes up 17 and 18, who then activate 16 and kill Zero, as they do in canon. This is where things take a major turn though. With Goku still recovering, Trunks and Vegeta are the only ones available to fight the androids, and they get utterly destroyed. However, this time Vegeta's reaction is very different to what it was the first time around. So here's the thing about Vegeta's journey during the 3 years prepping for the androids. Keep in mind that he was somewhat interested in Chi-Chi on Namek, and then he probably developed an interest in Bulma living at Capsule Corp. However, in this timeline, Bulma is attached to Goku and Vegeta nearly killed Goku, so she probably hates him in this timeline. So basically, all the women that he's even tangentially, just bare bones, even slightly interested in hate his guts. And because he never gets to fulfill that need with Bulma during the 3-year training arc, Vegeta is uniquely vulnerable to those kinds of feelings during the stretch of the story. Which is why this happens.
How quickly bravado goes out the window when you're flat on your ass. That's pretty sad.
Sad for you!
And it was at this moment that Vegeta knew. This lady was going to be the mother of his children. Okay, so we're gonna do some character work with Vegeta, because he is probably the most complicated person in Dragon Ball. He's one of the few characters that's actually properly fleshed out. For the first time, not only is a woman completely unimpressed with his status, but she also physically outmatches him. Combine that with Saiyan biological instincts and an extended period of blue balls, Vegeta becomes fixated on 18 after this fight. Not romantically, mind you, this is still Cell Saga Vegeta, but she gets in his head and doesn't leave. So while the Z-Fighters are recovering and regrouping, the story plays out more or less the same with one very key difference. Trunks sees Goku and Gohan as his family, not Vegeta. So with no connection to Trunks, Vegeta has no one to train with when the time chamber becomes available. Goku has to focus on training Gohan and Trunks, both of whom don't want to spend a year locked in a room with Vegeta. And Piccolo's not available because he went to go fuse with Kami and now he's hunting the androids down because right now Piccolo's the strongest piece on the board. And everyone else available is too weak to give him a proper training partner. This means that when Cell absorbs 17 and nearly kills Piccolo, Tien has to hop in and do something about it, which provides Goku enough time to teleport in and grab everybody. However, since they don't have any ace in the hole to deal with Cell now, Goku grabs Tien and Piccolo, but also pops back in to grab 16 and 18. Goku then takes 16 to Capsule Corp for Bulma to repair, while 18 is brought to Kami's lookout for protection. So, with Piccolo recovering, 16 being repaired, and Goku needing to focus his attention on training Gohan and Trunks, only 2 fighters remain available for the time chamber. 18 is the only person left available to train with Vegeta right that moment. See where this is going? While 18 wouldn't be keen on spending any time with Vegeta, she'd also want to be able to protect herself from Cell when she gets out of the chamber, so she would have to be pragmatic about this and at least try to tolerate Vegeta so they can both get stronger.
Hey, Spiky. You have to get stronger to beat Cell, and I need to get stronger so I can protect myself from him. We should spar with each other or something.
Fair enough. Let us begin. I thought you were a machine. How are you getting stronger like this?
I guess I'm not all machine. I have to drink water, and I actually got hungry last month.
Interesting. I'll keep that in mind. I yield. That's it for today.
Where was all that fire from 5 minutes ago? You don't interrupt someone's bath to make them train with you and then drop it as soon as you get a little boo-boo.
It's not that. They'll forget it.
Fine, but if you do that again, I'm not stopping.
Android, train with me.
Done sulkin'? You know, if you were paying more attention, that attack wouldn't have busted your rib.
I know. I've been distracted lately. I respect your strength, Android.
Lazuli.
What is that?
That's my name. We've been in here 8 months. It's time we started using each other's names, Vegeta.
Well, then... let's get back to work, Lazuli.
So in my previous video I said I thought that Vegeta and 18 had complementary personalities, and that's what I was trying to show with that set of scenes right there. They'd probably develop a bit of a rapport over time, because as closed off and hard as Vegeta was during this period of the story, he still has emotional and physical needs like any other person, as seen when he did the do with Bulma in the main timeline. Here he's getting that need fulfilled by 18 by being locked in a room with her for a year. And you know, they may or may not have had some training buddies with benefits moments here and there. Use your imagination on that one. So they would come out of the chamber significantly stronger, and the next move would be to locate and kill Cell. Goku and Trunks go into the chamber for a year, and that leaves Vegeta with the main task of hunting down and killing Cell. Cell would obviously be no match for Vegeta physically right now, and on top of that, since Vegeta spent all that time with 18 in the chamber, Cell would have a really hard time convincing Vegeta to let him absorb 18. So Cell would have to be more tactical and sneaky about how he does things. He's probably the most intelligent villain in all of Dragon Ball, so he could probably piece together where Kami's lookout might be based on the direction and angle that Vegeta came from. With no other leads, he'd probably suppress his ki and try to figure out where Vegeta came from in the hopes that 18 might be there. And 18's a lot stronger too, so Cell would have a much harder time absorbing her. However, keep in mind that Cell only has to hit 18 once with his tail and it's just game over. So really all he needs to do is use the multiform technique as a diversionary tactic to get an opening on 18 to just ambush her. Basically, Cell finds the lookout, Vegeta keeps him at bay, but Vegeta doesn't realize that Cell is using the multiform technique to also go after 18. She gets absorbed, and Cell transforms. This does a really cool thing for Vegeta as a character because what it does is it accelerates his character arc. Now he's lost somebody that he actually cares about because he was more focused on fighting Cell than protecting her. I think this would push him closer to his Buu Saga characterization at a much earlier point in time. Vegeta would lose it on Cell and go completely apeshit, but it obviously wouldn't be enough for Perfect Cell. However, I do think that Cell would probably let Vegeta live because remember how arrogant Cell is as a character. He wants to test out his new strength, and the fact that Vegeta got that much stronger in such a short amount of time would make him wonder how much stronger Vegeta could get, potentially. So he'd naturally fall into the idea of starting the Cell games. So in that 10-day gap before the Cell game starts, we'd have a little bit of a slowdown where the characters can just sit and breathe for a moment so we can get some good character moments with everybody. And it would give Goku and Bulma a really, really good scene that I think that they were kind of robbed of by not being put together in the original show.
Goku, are you sure there isn't more we could have done to prepare?
I've been in the chamber twice now, with both Trunks and Gohan. I've hit a bit of a plateau, and I'm not sure going back in there will help me break it.
I see. I guess I'm just worried. Cell just seems so powerful.
He is. But I'm not going in there without a plan.
I trust you, Goku. It's just so stressful. Thinking that the life we built together could go up in smoke?
Hey, Bulma.
What is it, Goku?
I'm glad you found me. Win or lose, we really had one heck of an adventure together.
We did, didn't we?
I won't let Cell destroy what we've built. I promise.
And I know you'll keep that promise. Good night, Goku.
Good night, Bulma.
Now, I don't really have any reason to think that the Cell games would proceed any differently than how they do in canon. I could only maybe push the possibility that Vegeta wants to fight Cell first, but again, if Goku couldn't beat Cell, then neither could Vegeta. Also, I don't think that Goku having gone in the chamber twice with Trunks and Gohan individually, I don't know if it would be enough. Given the fact that Cell was holding back a little bit when he was fighting Goku, who was the strongest fighter there aside from Gohan. They need a Super Saiyan 2 to beat Cell, and Cell's arrogance would just naturally cause that to happen with Gohan, who goes on to defeat Cell, obviously at the cost of Goku's life. However, I don't think Goku would stay dead in this scenario, specifically because of Bulma and her personality. I can imagine that when Goku explains his reasoning for deciding to stay dead, Bulma would probably have something to say about that.
Oh, no, you don't. If you put the Earth in danger, then you need to be here to fix it. We'll face the danger as a family. You got me pregnant again, you idiot. You're not leaving me alone with 2 toddlers, mister. You come back this instant.
Bulma's not the kind of person to let Goku's detachment just go unaddressed. She would call him out when he does these sorts of things, which is why I think his dynamic with Bulma would be a lot more functional. So, Goku would come back to life and enjoy the peace with his family for once, because I don't think he's gotten to do that in quite a while. Next, we need to address the character development of a certain Saiyan prince.
Hey, Vegeta. I saw what you did through Cell's eyes after he absorbed me.
Well, you should have been more careful and stayed near me when he came for you. I thought you were gone for good.
Well, I guess that wasn't the case. So, now what?
What do you mean?
Where do we go? What's next for us?
Well, I intend to continue my trading. You may join me if you wish.
You don't have to say it. I know.
And that's more or less how the Cell Saga would go. And with Goku alive now, it's gonna have some cool implications for the first half of the Buu Saga. Because now, it's time to end the video. This already went on way longer than I expected it to. Consider leaving a like and a comment if you enjoyed what I made. Maybe even subscribe if you want to get notified when the next video drops. Next time we're going to be covering the Buu Saga, the Super Era, and the End of Z Era. Also, later down the line, I want to start posting my own stories. So, until then, I hope to see you all next time, whenever that is.